Oh yeah, so we're at the end of March and I just want to have a quick look through my outdoor flow through bin and the 1 ton builder's bag worm bin. I'm going to be adding a few worms to the 1 ton bag. I only started out with like 4, 5, maybe 600 worms, and it's taken a bit longer than I thought to get it going. So I've got some worms from home, from my little stackable bin I've got at home, to put in there. And I'm going to be taking a bit of a harvest from this one today as well, which I'm going to show you, and just having a little look in the top to see how it's doing. So I started this 1 ton builder's bag about a year ago. I've got some of these squashes that didn't keep all that well and they've gone a bit mouldy, so I've bung those in here, and they do like them. But yeah, it's just been about a year, but I didn't start it with all that many worms, and there are worms in it, but they're just they're just dotted about. There's not an absolute ton of them, and everything's just taken a little bit longer to break down. There's not really enough in there for the size of it. So what I'm doing, I've got 2 trays worth of these. I put in this big tub here. These are from my worm bin at home. It is a little bit wet, but this is some of the stuff from my stackable worm bin I first started with. Now there was a lot of worms on the 4th tray, but there were worms all the way through it, right down to the bottom 2 trays, quite a lot of them. So I tipped the bottom 2 trays out, and I thought, you know what, because I'm going to be taking the harvest from this bin today, I thought I'm just going to put these in here. There's quite a few hundred worms now, I should imagine. So I'm just going to put these in here and get this going a lot better for this year. And then, because I've had rats eat into the bottom of the bag, once this is full, I'm just going to empty it and I won't use it again. I think this one bin will give me enough worm castings. Yeah, look at all them worms, look. There's hundreds in there. So that should give it a nice boost anyway. That's all of them out of there. So yeah, the plan is with this bin is to just get it through this summer and well, until it's full, maybe end of the summer, and then I'll put it out on the beds, probably with the worms, because this bed is looking like there's a fair few worms in there, so I probably won't need to move any over. So I'll probably just spread this, worms and all, over the outdoor beds. But what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of leaf mould on top of that and a bit of homemade compost, bring it up a couple more inches, and they can settle in there nice and get to work. So we'll have a look at the other bed now. Right, so let's have a look at this one. I did put a few squash in this one as well. I had a whole load of those strapetti squash that I grew. They don't keep as well as the others, so I just thought I'd chuck them in here, skins, seeds and all. So there's quite a few worms on top there, look. All dotted about, especially on the squash. A little bit dry up this side, so I'm going to have to give it a bit of a water today. Something's tried sprouting. But a little fork and have a look. But yeah, that looks quite busy. There's quite a few worms on the top there. Quite a few worms throughout as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. Like I say, all these things have taken a little longer. I don't know if it's just me getting used to it, getting the mixes right and that, but it's just sort of taken a little longer than I thought to get going. Yeah, you look and see most of them that have gone to the squash. You look at that. That squash has just been hollowed out and it's just full of worms. Absolutely jam-packed. See if I can. It's a bit squidgy. Look at that. Thousands of worms in there, look. They do love that squash. But yeah, so I'm happy with that. And there's a few other squash in here, which I'm assuming are all going to be the same. Yeah, that's got a whole load of worms in it as well. I'll turn him over. That's hopefully the skin on that squash will break down as well. But yeah, I'm well happy with that. There's loads and loads, and there's lots of younger ones I can see. So they've obviously been breeding through the winter in that cold weather. They've obviously still been breeding, so there's quite a lot of small ones, especially right inside. There's quite a lot of young ones there, look. So yeah, I think this year this is really going to take off. It has taken a year or so to really get going, just being honest. But like I say, I think I've got it figured now. I'm using a lot of leaf mould. I make a lot more leaf mould, and I'm using that as my main sort of bedding. I do use a bit of shredded paper, just when I have it. But I'm trying to stay a bit more natural sort of ingredients now, and they love the leaf mould. So there's worms dotted around the sort of outside, but with those squash there, they have tended to head straight for the squash by the look of it. But that's all good. That's all good, and there's a lot of breeding going on, so I'm well happy with that. So what I'll do is I'll cover this back up now, and then we'll have a bit of a harvest out the bottom and see what we can get. Right, so how I harvest from this is I've got this big tray that sits perfectly underneath the bin, and I'll just use this old potato fork which has got these rounded off tongs, and then all I do is just scrape up and down, give it a bit of a poke, and it all falls into the tray below, which I can then pull forwards and sieve through it. I tend to leave it in this bottom tray just to dry out a little bit. It can be a bit wet sometimes, so I'll leave it there for a day or two while it dries. It's not too much work to just poke about like this for a bit and just get a couple of buckets full or whatever I need. Sometimes you'll sort of form ridges up there, but it all slowly moves its way back down. You give it a water, give it a feed, it slowly flops back down onto the bars. Right now I can feel I've got a couple of inches above the bars there. That'll probably do me for now, just to get a little bit from my potting mixes. So we'll have a look at what this looks like. Right, so let's have a look what we got. So I can see, even though a little bit on the top was starting to dry, lower down it's still quite moist. I mean, it's not, I can't get a drop out of it, but it is damp. You can see my hands are now damp, so that's probably perfect. I think that's what they call sort of field moisture, like field saturation point, or whatever it's called. So what I do now is I just leave this. The good thing is I can do like an inch thick layer, and I just leave it there, and there's always a nice breeze going through here, and that just dries it a little bit. And the couple of young worms, even right down here at the bottom, a couple of young worms. Oh, don't worry about them, they can stay in it, there's plenty up top. So yeah, I'll just let it dry for a day or two, and then I'll sieve it and use it in my seed mixtures. And I also put a few scoops on the buckets, on the wheelbarrows that I put on the beds. I'm a little bit late topping up all my no-dig beds, so some of it will go on the no-dig beds as well. Yeah, It's looking alright. There's a few chunks in it, a little bit of wood chip here and there, but you know, none of that really matters. It's all good stuff. So yeah, leave this here to dry out now for a bit. But anyway, guys, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed that, and happy worming. Take it easy. We'll see you next time.